King.
Alright, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Sanusi on Life. My name is Adewale Boke Jr. Please review us, rate us, give us a 5-star. Don't be a hater. Today, I'm going to talk about ownership, specifically for art. You know, of course, art, animation, whatever you create, character design, all these different things. But three things I want to focus on. Things I want to focus on. LLC, copywriting, trademark, and ownership. Those things I think are vital to any form of ownership in anything you're going to do. I don't care if it's in art, in music, in whatever you do, anything creative or just anything in general, man. Because if you don't have ownership of what you're doing, you're basically wasting your time. You're just you're an employee or you're expendable. But when you have ownership, there's a level of security that you have, man. So, but before we get into this podcast, I want to thank our sponsors. This Sounds Original podcast is brought to you by Anna Del Funanaco. Don't leave your foot pain. Let Anna Del Funanaco make your feet happy again. That's AnnaDaleCenter.com for details, y'all. That's AnnaDaleCenter.com for details, y'all. You can go to AnnaDaleCenter.com for details. And I stated before, talked about it multiple times. These custom orthotics go into every pair of batas that I wear. That's right, every pair of batas. I don't mess around. These custom orthotics are designed to my feet specifically. I went to Dr. Nero Nusode, doctor specialist, the best foot specialist in the world as far as I'm concerned. Put you on this amazing machine, directs what's going on with your feet, dictates what's going on with your feet. It's a scanner, and then they come out with this custom orthotics designed just for your feet. So AnnaDaleCenter.com for details, y'all. AnnaDaleCenter.com for details, y'all. So, as I stated before, we get into this podcast, we're talking about LLC, copywriting, trademark, and ownership. First things first is LLC. For a lot of y'all who don't know what LLC is, that's basically when you go to the government, you register your business, whatever it might be called, like mine is Sanusi Vision. So if you ever look up, you're going to see Sanusi Vision LLC. But whatever you decide to call it, right? You have to have, they're going to give you documentation. It's kind of like you're registering with Secretary of State. It depends on what state you're living in. It depends on what country you're living in. But it's important to have that because it kind of establishes you as a LLC stands for limited liability company. But you have individuals who want to be like a corporation. So they might do sole proprietorship, stuff like that. I know all this stuff sounds odd, but these are all things that artists generally don't know, which is really weird. They're making all this money, or they're trying to make all this money, but they're not doing anything to do with ownership. They don't understand ownership. They don't even know what a copywriting is, which is the next thing I'm going to talk about. But LLC is like I have mine. I finally got my LLC paperwork. That took a while, but I got it. You pay certain fees. It depends on what you might be paying. $300. You might be paying $700. Depends on what state you live in. In every state's LLC criteria are very different from other states. So, you know, whether it's Texas, whether it's California, whether it's New York, whether it's Delaware, whether it's Florida, everybody's got a different thing. So you just got to look out to see what's going on with it, and see how it is. But your business needs to be established. You need to have a name of a company, and hopefully it's a company name that you create that's something that's meaningful to you. Because when people read that name, it's got to reiterate with them. It's got to resonate with them. It's got to be something that's, I don't want to say it's got to be catchy, but you got to find a way to make them remember it. I can't tell young people. It's funny, they ask me, Sanusi Vision, is that, they'll say Sanusi, is that Japanese? I was like, no, it's my great-great-grandfather's name. He was a warrior king. And they're like, oh my God, he's a warrior king? Yeah. So the name Sanusi sounds Japanese, but it's not Japanese. It's actually Nigerian. So, and then of course, vision. I always felt like I need to have a vision for what I'm doing. And also to my grandfather's vision for his descendants. Like this is what he would want them to do, doing something great with their life. So that's how I came with Sanusi Vision. And of course, you got the LLC part. And then next up is copywriting. Now, copywriting is where I'm going to start showing you artwork. For example, when I first started Carjack for Assassins, I copyrighted this. This is version 1. Just creating the characters when I copyrighted. That's even before I put this on the bio book. And then you got another variation of copyright. Right? So once I copyrighted this, it gave every variation I would create after that is protected. So this protects this, and this protects this. And any other versions that I might come up with. That's something a lot of people don't understand about copywriting. Just because you copyright once doesn't mean you can't keep copyrighting over and over again. Now, once you copyright once, you're technically protecting what you've already created, that name, that brand, that look, that image, that likeness, right? So anybody that wants to use it has to pay you certain dues to use it. Like, for example, one of the things I love using as a kid growing up, and I never paid attention till I actually got older. But Marvel, one thing I love about Marvel, if you can see the detail, I'm going to show it to y'all. He busts out this old X-Men Wolverine comic book. If you look really close, Marvel has R right there next to it. Now, what you see on here, right? Prior to me getting my trademark, which something I'm gonna talk about, Sanusi Vision. See the TM? That TM went from TM to R, meaning registered company, which is something I'm gonna talk about later. But Marvel used to do that all the time. I mean, all this stuff you see right here, these X-Men issues, or this one right here, all this stuff is copyrighted. You know what I'm saying? So you can't use it without Marvel's permission. Yes, I know you people go to a lot of expos, see a lot of fan art, which is what it is. But you can't use none of this without Marvel's permission. All this stuff right here, copyrighted. All these characters, copyrighted. Storm, Wolverine, Colossus, Marrow on this side. I'm just showing you random stuff, man. Vessel, you know what I mean? Spider-Man right here, of course, you know, created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. Even on this side, this is an old school comic, Cyclops. You know what I mean? All this stuff is copyrighted. There is nothing in this that isn't copyrighted. It doesn't matter. All these characters right here, Beast, Jubilee, Jean Grey, Bishop, Nightcrawler, it don't matter. They're all copyrighted by Marvel. You know what I'm saying? If you do Age of Apocalypse, this is another, just showing you samples, man. But you know, this is what Marvel's been doing for years, since the 40s, man. You've got to protect what you create, right? Look at this. All this stuff, copyrighted, man. There's nothing in here that's not copyrighted. You know what I mean? I can't stress enough the importance of copywriting. Copywriting basically means that what you created, nobody else can use it anymore. Whether it's an image, maybe it's a name, whatever it is that you design. I always stress to people, man, copywriting, it isn't cheap. Now, with the federal government, you can do it two ways. You got poor man's copyright, which is when you register, mail it to yourself. Or you've got the regular copyright, which is you send it to the federal government. Preferably, you should do both. But for a lot of us who are tight in the pocket, maybe the funds are not available, because sending it to the federal government is about $200, I believe. And then you have various organizations, like the people I like to go to is LegalZoom. I've been using that for a long time. Everything I've done with them has worked out for me. So if it ain't broke, I ain't trying to fix it, man. You know what I mean? LegalZoom has worked for me, whether it's the copywriting, whether it's the trademark, which is I'm going to talk about next. But copywriting is important. So the minute I copyrighted these characters, I literally sent 200 plus drawings to the federal government to get copyrighted. You know what I mean? I wasn't playing. I've done many versions of Cardiac Assassin Universe, from this one to this one to this one, and then to the version 6 that's coming soon with the first official Cardiac Assassin comic book. But you know, I can't stress enough copywriting. You have to protect what you create. It's a very simple concept. I can't tell people put stuff on the web, especially a lot of artists. I never see watermarks, so I never see it being maybe a small image. I'm literally not just going to directly put an image on social media or the web. You're asking for people to steal your stuff and putting high resolutions too. That's another thing. Do not put high resolutions on the web. Do your best not to help out scammers and crooks out there who ain't trying to work for nothing and just trying to freeload up for your creations. You have to protect what you create. That's the whole point of copyright. And for a lot of artists always in a rush to be successful, to be famous, you shouldn't even worry about being famous. You should worry about ownership. What's the point of you being famous if you don't own anything you've created? It really makes no point. Makes no sense. So copywriting is important. Next up is trademark. Now, for a lot of y'all who don't know what trademark is, let me just break that down to you basically. It's when you send an image or likeness in to be protected, which basically and it exists in many categories, be it movies, comics, footwear, apparel, whatever it is might be. Because when you send a trademark, you have to be specific about what it is that you're going to use it for. So for me, for example, Cardiac Assassins is trademark, Sanusi Vision is trademark, Batas is trademark, Asha is trademarked. So the various things that I use daily that I know is going to be a part of my future. So this whole thing you're looking at me wearing right here, this hoodie, to the beanie, to the t-shirt, to the sweatpants that I got on, trademarked. Everything on here designed trademark. You can't use Cardiac Assassin unless you want me to make you broke. You better come to me and ask if I can borrow the name. You can't. A movie theater, a movie company, not WB, not Marvel, not Lionsgate, not Tyler Perry Studios, not nobody. You can't use Cardiac Assassins unless I give you the permission. And I'm never going to give anybody the permission. Why would I allow you the permission to use what I've created that I know I have a vision for? Makes no sense. I'm not going to allow you to license it. I'm not going to do nothing. You can't do nothing with Sanusi Vision. You can't do nothing with Batas. You can't do nothing with Asha unless you want to get sued and be broke. I'm going to take your money. That's what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? That's what trademark. Now, we want to know what the difference between trademark and copywriting is. Copywriting is more to do with images, whereas trademark is more to do with like images, but categories that you're using the images in. I'm going to say that again. Copywriting is just images, right? Or whatever it is you create, or names. But trademarking is categories, images, Trademark is images, but in certain categories. Because maybe you're making computers, maybe you're making pens, maybe you're doing apparel, maybe you're doing footwear, or whatever it is you might be doing. But you have to decide what category you want to put those things in, right? It's very important, and I can't stress the importance of doing that. You know what I mean? Trademarks is important for a lot of artists who don't know anything about anything. That's the problem with a lot of artists, man. We don't know enough. We don't educate ourselves enough. A lot of us are too busy being famous. Oh yeah, they put me on a panel on Comic-Con. Oh yeah, they let me draw Spider-Man edition number whatever. Oh yeah, they let me draw Batman whatever. Oh yeah, let me work on the Batman and Black Panther animated series. Okay, of all that stuff you did, what part of that do you own? None of it. So you're just an employee. You're very disposable. Me, on the other hand, I'm not disposable. The way I see myself is Sanusi Vision is a company that's eventually going to become as giant, if not more bigger than Marvel, or Warner Brothers, or whatever you think of. A lot of artists, if you ever notice when you do the credits, a lot of the individuals now that are very successful in movies and animation, whatever it might be, it's because they have ownership. The ones that are very successful, they're not being dictated to, but they're doing the dictating. They're deciding the negotiation. They're deciding what's going to be. A lot of artists just frustrate me with this nonsense of just being ignorant to what they should know. All they care about is being famous. Me, I'm the opposite. I'm a businessman who happens to be an artist. You can't talk to me about nothing about my art or anything I've created unless we're talking business. And I don't have this tendency not to even waste my time letting anybody decide they want to use my stuff. You're not using my stuff. I had this one guy come up to my table, one of the comic expos, like, "Oh, you're an artist?" I said, "Yeah." And then he says, "So how much do you charge to create drawings for people?" "You mean create character design?" I said, I don't do character designs for anybody, because to be quite frank with you, you can't afford me." And then then somehow we got into a conversation about what he normally pays for people when they create characters for him, and I just laughed in his face, like, "Dude, get out of my face. You got these crooked, broke ass individuals that think that people owe them something. Don't nobody owe you nothing. And if you're an artist out there and you drawing character designs for people for $600, you're an imbecile. You deserve to lose everything and not get anything that's due to you, because you're just plain stupid. Don't draw for free. My characters, I'm not designing any characters for anybody unless you got the money that I want for the design. Because the minute I design it for you, there's things you can do with this. Merchandising, all kinds of stuff, animation, movies. It's just countless, endless things you can do. So don't be stupid. Trademarking is important. LLC, to establish a company. If you can't do anything else, you can be a private corporation, you can be a proprietor. But most of the time, I feel like being an LLC is better. The only time you go corporate is if maybe you want to have investors. So now you kind of like Facebook and Uber and all these places. You have investors, but hopefully you hold on to 60% of it. At least you have the most majority shares. I'm not really going for that because I feel like there's just too many oddball nonsense, and I got to worry with a bunch of jerks on the board trying to vote me off because they're a bunch of greedy vultures, man. How many times did I hear about Steve Jobs getting voted off of Apple? I mean, that just still disgusts me every time I hear about that. A dude creates something, but because he needed funding to do his dream, y'all voted him off of the thing because y'all didn't like his idea, so you basically stole it from him. It's just really disgusting. But, that's how I've always been an LLC. I'm always going to be an LLC. No matter how big I get, my company will stay LLC. There is going to be no goddamn board. Hell no. So, trademarking is important. Please. I can't stress enough to you artists, man. Trademarking, copyright, trademarking. That's like the main things for protecting yourself. If you can't afford to send your copyright to the federal government, send it to yourself. Registered trademark. All you got to do is do a registered trademark. They go up in there to put this little red stick on your envelope. Don't never open it. They'll put a bunch of stamps for the data on all over the thing. It's really educating. I've done that. Poor man's copyright a whole bunch of times. And guess who taught me that? My mentor, Larry White. I mean, this man didn't just teach me how to draw or be an artist. He taught me how to be a businessman in this, man. I remember he once told me, the minute you have a conversation with somebody and they start trying to tell you what the price they want to pay, tell them to get the you-know-what out your face. And that's what I do, man. I'm real rude about it, too. I don't really try to be... There's no negotiation about my price. You can afford me, you can. My talent isn't free. It's never going to be free, and it shall never be free. So that's what's up right there. So LLCs, copywriting, trademark. Then, of course, finally, that I want to talk about is ownership. What is the point of you doing any of this stuff if you don't own any of the stuff you do? And that's when all three things comes in, right? Having a company that's registered, right, with the federal government, so people know that you are legit. But then copyright and trademarking, those are ownerships. And when you have ownership, you can dictate the terms of things you do. Whether I meet up with Netflix, which one day might happen. It depends. I'm very independent. I'm very hesitant to want to deal with these big major companies because they're full of crap. You know what I mean? I don't care who it is. Marvel, DC, yada, yada. They're all full of crap to me because they're always trying to take from you and give you very little back. I remember I used to apply to jobs at Marvel. I don't do that no more. I read one of the disclosures. I was like, you got to be kidding me. These guys want to pay you pennies and make millions and billions off of what you done created. All these guys that created Iron Man, just all these different characters that are created all over Marvel. The artists that created these characters ain't eating as well as Marvel is eating. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. Same thing with DC and anywhere else. You know what I mean? Artists, Todd McFarlane is independent. I think that's one of the reasons why he's done so well for himself, man. He's one of the few individuals I feel like he's independent. Of course, he did work for Marvel and DC, I believe, but he worked on Spider-Man. I know that much. But he's spoken on numerous times about how being independent is more important than you working for a company. So I kind of just took the bull by the horns and just to say from the right from jump, I'm not working for nobody. You know what I mean? So ownership, man. If you have ownership, there's a lot of things you could direct the terms of your characters or whatever you've created, the terms of the price to which you want to charge, how your characters are used or whatever you created is used, how whatever you have created is used. That is very important because when you don't have creative control, they can pretty much do anything with whatever you created. That's why you see a lot of music people are just miserable, making albums that are straight trash, and they know they don't like the album, but they have to do it because that's what the label told them they have to do. So now instead of making what's true to you, true to your soul, what you know could probably resonate with people, you have to make some garbage that makes the label happy, and you're just basically fulfilling your contract, which is sorry. So ownership, own what you do, own what you create. I can't stress the importance of that, how important that is, man. You have got to do that, man. It is too vital, man. Ownership is probably the biggest thing for artists, but a lot of artists are clueless. And I've stopped wasting my time having conversations with people about ownership. I can't tell many artists, I try to explain that. Okay, you keep drawing all these characters already created. What are you going to create that's your own? Because you don't own that character. You know what I mean? So that's important, man. So that's our show for today. But before we get up out of here, we got to show you some of our new gear. I always like talking about it. Phone cases. These are the new phone cases we got. And what's cool about it is you can see it's got credit card slots right there, man. I can't tell when people want to go out. They're like, oh, where's my wallet at? Oh, where's my credit card? Oh, well, you ain't got that problem no more because you have it in your phone. So, and we got it in multiple characters too. We got it for iPhones and Samsung Galaxies. And we got them in characters, cards out for assassins, but you got Blade, Iron Man, Wonder Woman, Captain Marvel, Batman, Black Panther, Mega Man, you name it, it's on the website, man. So phone cases, man. And then another cool thing, laptop cases. Laptop cases, man. And these things are waterproof. You know what I mean? So it's double-sided with the characters. So I got the classic cards out for assassins on this side, and I got the version 5 on this side. You know what I mean? This is my custom one, so that's why you see all this Asha and Batas on there. You know what I mean? My designs always come up with everything I'm working on. I feel like the energy of what I do should always be on everything I'm doing. So you know what I mean? Y'all hold on a sec. I gotta grab something really cool too. And of course, can't forget the Batas footwear line. You know what I mean? These are low tops. Custom, you know what I'm saying? These are all what my thought is going to. But what's cool about my shoes is you can see the art on both sides. You know what I mean? Different art, man. On each shoe too. So this is the right shoe. And then on the left shoe, check that out. You know what I mean? Look at that. Yes, sir. This is what we do in the Sanusi. So the Batas footwear line. So whether it's the Batas ones or the classics like this, the Batas 2 Platinums, which are these right here, or the high tops, Sanusi.com got all kinds of cool stuff. Beanies, hoodies, t-shirts, sweatpants. I mean, all kinds of cool stuff. You know what I mean? So, soundvision.com, y'all. So, I want to thank y'all for listening. This podcast is produced, written, and directed by yours truly, Adewale Booker Jr. Please check out our website at soundvision.com for all the cool stuff that I talked about. From beanies, to hoodies, to bomber jackets, to custom t-shirts, to phone cases, to bio books. You got comics up in there, man. Laptops and everything else you can think of. Laptops. You know what I mean? You got to check out our cool stuff, man. You know what I mean? Laptop cases. So, you know what I'm saying? And please subscribe to our podcast, which is officially strictly on YouTube and Facebook now. Make sure you get on our Facebook platform. Set the notifications so whenever new episodes come up, you can definitely see it. Or just our promo videos in general, because I always got promo videos or podcast episodes going. So, check it out. We got all kinds of good stuff. And please, check out our social media platforms at Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, all at Sanusi. And please, don't forget to review yours. Say something nice. You know what I mean? Don't be a hater. You know what I mean? And as always, y'all, continue to aspire and achieve. Have a great week. Stay safe, y'all. Peace.